Hi guys, how are we doing? So in the new slash old office, I've moved back to my old apartment and in the office here. So I'm going to get some upgrades to this recording setup very, very soon. Number one, going to fix these blinds. There's too much light coming through here. So I'm going to get that sorted. And I'm going to fix this behind me. Going to put some nice wooden slats. So it's a bit more visually appealing. But hopefully the audio is not too echoey in here. It's a big box room, which I've just kind of gone back into. So hopefully the audio quality is not too bad at all. But that's by the by. Today I want to talk about something I've not really seen a lot of people go into, and that is business profit margins within your coaching. I'm going to run through two basic models of businesses and discuss where your operating costs should be, what your sort of approximate profit margin should be, and really, if you're way away from this, that should be some red flags. And if you're on track, big green tick. Okay. And the reason I want to talk about this is quite often you'll get mentors, coaches talking about seeing huge improvements to their profit margin. And that always jumps out as me being a little bit worrying because there is no one size fits all in terms of a coaching business. I'll talk through my preferred model, but I'll talk through another model as well, which has absolute success potential, but that's the one we're going to see greater impacts on your profit margin for sure. So if I just grab the iPad, right, I've been experimenting with this, so let's jump into our dual screen mode. Right, let's get this bad boy out of the way. So if we think about a general one man band coaching business that I run, a lot of coaches are going to run, we'll talk through that to start with. So basically what you've got is you've got you, beautifully drawn stick man, and you're going to have your content all done through your phone, your software, whatever you want to use, let's say Canva or anything else. Maybe you want to ideate with ChatGPT or Claude. And you post that, then you're going to do your calls. You might use Zoom or Google Meet. Then you're going to use your software to coach. That's going to be either, let's say, G Sheets or app. Terrible writing there. And then potentially we've got our payment as well. So as you can imagine, looking at that, it's pretty straightforward, right? You've got costs at all these levels, but assuming we've already got a phone, nothing there. Software, let's say we're talking at most, let's say $30 a month. ChatGPT, $30 a month. Zoom, let's say another 30. Coaching software, G Sheets is my favorite one, that's free. If not, let's say up to £100. Your payment software is going to take 1.5% if it's Stripe. And that's probably going to be the majority of your spend. That's probably going to be the majority where your money is. Let's say you're a business-oriented individual and you have a pension, or let's say a 401k if you're an American person watching this, and you might have a mentor, let's say 500. All of a sudden, that's not too bad, right? If we, let's say, put 500 here, 1,000, 1,060, 1,090, 1,100. Let's call it, with your payment processing, 1,200 a month costs. Okay, so for any coach who's earning, let's say 10K, which is, you could easily run a 10K business off this setup, you're looking at, keeps putting me over, Apple Pencil's not, it's making me get a razor. You're running around about an 88 to 90% profit margin. Okay, and you could keep that going. You could obviously keep that margin going all the way up. So obviously a highly profitable business. And this is the same sort of business I run. Now, I'm not going to lie, there are some additional costs I have in there. So if I just move this out of the way. I have some additional costs. So going down. So of car, I have increased pension amount. I have ads. And there's other sort of software bits that might go in there. There's an accountant. But my business operates at an 88% profit margin at all times. Very, very good. Now, that is, like I say, my preferred option when running a business. There's no necessary way to have this, but that's my preferred option. Is one that gives you a lot of control of the finances without these huge overheads. I've mentioned in previous videos, you always want to try and keep your overheads small, especially when starting a business, because they can absolutely bury you if you're not careful. Now, of course, there are other ways to run a business. Now, I'm going to be very generic in the next example I give, but let's just talk through what that could look like, okay? So let's say we have a business which is more paid in full, ads, VA, etc. So you have your coach, and let's say he has his main structure for content is videographer. It takes care of everything. Then they go into ads. Then they have a VA. And I'm going to run out of space here, so we should do it this way. Then they have a setter. Closer. And that's all going to be under a mentor. Then we have our coaching software. And then we're going to have Stripe again. So all of a sudden you can see how this might look quite a bit different. So there's going to be a cost incurred here. Let's just call it 500. We have a mentor cost, let's say 500, but basically going to be more. Ads could be £1,000 a month. A VA, 900. Let's say setters commission based. Closers commission based. But let's say they get 10%. 10%. Let's call it free once more. Then 1.5. So straight off the bat, you can see there's going to be some more costs. Assuming we want to put some pension money aside. This writing's terrible, isn't it? Pension, 500. You can see costs are going to go up. So all of a sudden, we've got 2.5 grand to 3,400 just from that. So at that point, if we made 10k, we're now taking home 6.6. But let's not forget we might be losing 10% each time. And let's call that 660. 660 is 1320 minus our 660. So that's 5.2. Good maths, Matthew. 80. So now all of a sudden you're operating on a 52% profit margin for the same thing. Doesn't quite seem as good. Now, obviously, I've given generic examples with money I've just put in there, okay? But this is based on a lot of businesses I've seen. And I've seen a very similar model where someone's gone from earning 8 grand on the first iteration that we spoke about, one man, and they're making as much money as when they were making 30 grand a month up front with another mentor. Doesn't sound too good, does it? So we're talking completely different numbers. And it's not just the percentage of the operating cost itself that worries me. The other issue I have is in terms of the psychological weight of that business. You're obviously, at that point, you've got a lot more financial cost. You have one bad month, it's a real big problem. Okay, and that's why a lot of these businesses operate in paid in fulls, because they need the cash flow up front in order to justify their own costs. This to me is a very scary model unless you've got a very big business. Now, one thing I will say, and I happily say this, the biggest businesses in the coaching space are using this model for a reason. Right? They're using this model for a reason, because it works, right? As you scale, running a business at a 52% profit margin is still fantastic. You're not going to be able to go beyond, let's say, $1 million a year too easily on your own, right? Unless your prices continue to rise. Because if we just recall, what are the two ways that any business will grow? So growth occurs from two vectors, right? One, increased numbers, or increased LTV, so lifetime value of the client. Now, lifetime value of the client is only going to go up if your costs go up. You can only get so many numbers if you're a one-man band. So you can, however, put your prices up. If your product's good enough, you can charge more money. Makes sense. So if you've got 50 clients at £200, so let's say 10 grand a month, you've got 100 clients at £200, that's 20 grand, or you could have 100 clients at £400, that's 40 grand. So that's basically what I'm trying to say here. So as you scale, this business could do you, there's businesses that probably do $1 million a month, but they have a lot of heads, a lot of mouths to feed, and the operating margins are very, very low. So if you're a coach just starting out, which one's more feasible for you? Realistically, it's going to be this version, isn't it? It's going to be this version, which is operating at that 88% margin. And you can always transition, but don't fall into the trap which mentors are selling you of you've got to have this extreme setup. Because it sounds sexy. It sounds great that we've got to have all these points, ads, run this. It's what everyone's doing. It's not what everyone's doing. If you want a successful business and you're just starting off, do it on your own. Do it until you need the upgrade. And ultimately, this is what we call about finding the bottlenecks. So I would strongly encourage everyone to look at the bottlenecks within any business. If your bottleneck is purely the fact that you haven't got enough clients, you're not making enough money, don't invest in other areas right now. You can get more clients from being better at content, from understanding how to sell, from working on your craft, becoming a better coach, getting more results. You don't need to invest in all those other things to get there, because that's where your profit margin is going to dip. You're going to be running into a lot more stress within your business. And honestly, I don't believe it's going to be worth it for most people until they scale past that 20, 25, 30K a month mark, if they then want to build a business. But you have to remember, as you start to scale at that point, your profit margin is going to go down. So if you're doing 30K a month and you suddenly decide, you know what, I'm going to scale this thing up, well, be prepared that your income is going to come down for a couple of months. As you hire people, you have more overheads, you're not going to see the reward straight away. And that's an influx, that's an inflection point in a lot of people's businesses where they're not sure, do I want to actually go to this next level? Am I happy just running this as a one-man band? Now, obviously, look, this is a topic for another day. One-man band businesses have a downside. You're running it yourself. If you want to go on holiday, you have to take that away. It fails the bus crash test. If you were to get hit in the bus crash, would your business survive? Probably not, right? The other business might if it wasn't a sole figurehead at the front. But if we're talking purely profit margins, those are the two models we've basically got that we can compare ourselves to. I know which one I would prefer. So if you guys want to know anything more about business, how to grow yours, how to increase your lead generation, increase your onboarding, become a better coach, and also get the right business mindset, go over and click the link to the Strom Coaching Academy below. That's my coaching academy that I run. It's where I teach all the skills I give to my one-to-one mentees for only $50 a month to all my members. And I'm very, very proud to say I don't think there's anything like that on the market that combines the skill of coaching with that of business and done in a very ethical and person-orientated way. You can also check out the other sponsors of the podcast or the show below. Check them out. They're fantastic. Got some fantastic peptide supplement companies along with my other business, PHYSIQUE Collective. If anyone wants to get any increased information on PDs, it is the best resource on the market, he says in a completely non-biased way. Well guys, hope you enjoyed this video or in the audio. If you heard it in your ears, I do apologise for anyone that's listening to this on a podcast. You will probably need to go and watch the video on YouTube to go through the images that I put on the iPad. But hopefully some of it did make a bit of sense for you right there. So thank you guys for listening, and I'll catch you in the next video.